Welcome to the Wise Fiduciary Podcast. I am Isaac Wood, one of your hosts from Fiduciary Wise. Whether you're a thought leader, service provider, CEO, or decision maker, this podcast is for you. We break down best practices, the services and solutions available to you, discuss the latest topics, and shake up the industry norms. Please join us as we explore, challenge, and navigate the future of fiduciary responsibility together. This season, we are doing something a little different, something bolder, something necessary. Because let's face it, the 401k world isn't just about safe harbor notices, 5500s, and fund lineups anymore. It's about lawsuits, legislation, ethics, conflicts. And this season, we're putting those controversies under the spotlight. We're not here to push an agenda or tell you which side to be on, but we do want to explore both sides of the argument. This season is the fiduciary front line. This is the great 401k debate. Marta, what are we getting into today?
Hello, everybody. I am Marta Hurst. I'm a partner here at Fiduciary Wise, and today we are talking about annuities in retirement plans. So let's start with the basics. An annuity is a financial product that provides a stream of guaranteed income, typically for life, in exchange for a lump sum or series of payments. Within retirement plans like 401ks or 403bs, annuities are used to help convert retirement savings into predictable income during retirement. I would just like to point out, Isaac and I are not financial professionals. We are purely coming at this from a fiduciary standpoint and talking about what things we see within the marketplace related to annuities. So Isaac, how are we're going to duke it out today?
Yes.
What say you?
So that's the backdrop between this season is very much duking it out. Sort of debate style, but taking sort of two sides to this. And so when you look at annuities in the 401k space marketplace specifically, and as you pointed out, this is not a referendum on the financial product of an annuity. But we're talking about them specifically as they're starting to show up inside investment lineups in a 401k or a 403b plan. So that's sort of the angle that we're talking about here. And so I will be in our duking out today. I'll be taking what I think you would be able to term the pro annuity side of the conversation.
Pro. Yes.
Which really kind of only leaves one side left for you then.
Cons.
I'll do it.
All
Let's
right,
go.
so you're going to be, do you prefer con or do you prefer anti?
Anti.
I'm anti that.
Coming out tough questions right now.
Strong words.
Yes, strong words. So we will term you anti-annuity. So the first argument for why we're seeing annuities show up in the 401k space is just simply that these are wanted by participants. They're wanted not only by participants, but also from the financial service industry as well. There was an article in Plan Advisor magazine, which I think we will reference in the show notes below, that was based on a survey by Nuveen of approximately 2,100 participants, and almost 9 out of 10 of these 401k plan participants, 90%, Marta, 90% believe that employers have a responsibility to help ensure that their retirement income security is taken care of. And so according to that survey, there's a quote, "Today's workers see guaranteed retirement income not just as a personal goal, but as a shared mission with their employers," which means guaranteed income is something that they're looking for inside of a 401k plan. And so if ERISA says that plan fiduciaries are to act in the sole interest of the 401k plan participants and their beneficiaries, seems like these need to be included.
Okay, so I read that article, and I think it was actually closer to 87%. So they rounded up to 9 out of 10.
We round up.
I'm not a fan of rounding. And I'm really curious, and I actually saw somebody posted something about this article the other day and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And these participants wanting more, and this growing awareness of this option. And I guess my question is are there any validity in those numbers? So they surveyed 2,100 participants. I'm really curious, and maybe I could go find it somewhere. I didn't dig that deep, but what kind of participants were these? Are these your blue collar participants, your white collar participants, your highly compensated participants, mostly the owners, mostly your rank and file? Because I just find it a little where did they find these people? And are annuities just the current buzzword? And are they really in the best interest of the participant? And I think, do you remember when Vanguard did that special? Maybe it wasn't Vanguard. Somebody did a special on PBS about American workers and the 401k and how fees were eating up Americans' retirement funds. And so that's why nobody was ready in retirement. And it brought a lot of awareness to fees. And I think that that's important. And I think that fees do need to be reasonable. Of course, we do here at Fiduciary Wise. But I also think Americans aren't saving enough. That is the real retirement issue, not nobody was well, I was going to retire really comfortably, but fees ate all of it.
Oh, yeah.
No, you were going to retire okay. And so I think this is the same kind of thing. There's some new awareness around it, but that doesn't mean that it's in their best interest to just have it.
Well, and you're not going to get any argument from me on the fact that really at the core of the retirement savings issue across this country is a lack of actual savings, for sure. But what I think this survey does uncover is really what I think is at the core of any misunderstanding around annuities and how they work, and really less about how they work and more about why they work. And so what 9 out of 10 participants in this survey are saying is that we are definitely intrigued by the idea of being able to guarantee income for the rest of our life. And that's really at the core of the annuity conversation, is that word guarantee. There are thousands, if not millions, of different income plans that you can sit with a financial advisor and come up with for how to plan for your retirement, and put together a plan, an income plan for retirement. And you see the number, part of it's due to inflation, but also just a change in the marketplace. Common thought of hey, if you should have enough of a nest egg to be able to pull out 5% a year and have it last because of the growth of the market. Well, those numbers keep changing. And so you can put together a plan, you can put together a prudent plan, you can put together a very competent plan at how you're going to get to it. But without the word guarantee, there's always doubt. And so what these Americans are communicating is that sometimes we're willing to pay to get rid of doubt. If you just lock something in and guarantee it for me, I'm willing to pay for it. And on the flip side of it, the ability to guarantee is costly. The ability to guarantee is something that's costly because the entity that's doing the guaranteeing is taking on the risk, the investment risk, and the risk of loss there. And so what's being communicated very much is that participants are drawn to that word guarantee. And so if we're as a fiduciaries on a retirement plan side, if we are interested in their best interest, I think having a way to address that issue is something that needs to be included inside of a 401k plan.
Okay, is your 2 minutes up? Sorry, I'm over here I'm making some notes.
Listen, if I get going, it's over. Literally, we'll run out of time.
Love to be can I mute you?
Yeah, you gotta ding in.
That? Okay.
They didn't give us buzzers.
Oh, ding. We need something. Okay. So you mentioned that there are lots of income products that people meet with their financial advisors about. I think that is one of my concerns about having these within a retirement plan, is because yes, participants state they want something like this. I'm not really sure they totally understand what that means. And that just because it means guaranteed income doesn't mean it's the amount of income that you think you're going to need. If you've got this much that you can convert to an annuity and that only generates $200 a month. Is that really what you wanted to do with it? Anyway, so I get the point about guarantee, but also like, how are these going to be communicated to plan participants? And because they're not likely sitting down with an advisor. Some plans might have the ability to do that, but some plans, especially larger plans with lots of participants, maybe they don't have that kind of education built in. How are you going to make sure that people know how to use these and use them appropriately?
Yep.
And then if they don't have that, then it's not in their best interest. They could be misusing it.
Definitely a real and valid and truthful statement that you just made. There is a necessity to make sure that it's communicated. I would argue that that's really no different than any other investment vehicle inside of a 401k plan. I mean, look at, we've all seen participants that have 10% of their investment income spread out over 10 different target date funds. Like they don't understand what a target date fund is, or they don't understand any of the other investment vehicles in there. And so as the investments change, the need for education is there. But there's, I mean, just the aspects of a 401k plan on its face is difficult to understand from a participant perspective. Just the existence of it, and do they really understand the employer match? Do they understand vesting, and do they understand what it means to properly allocate a portfolio? Do they understand the fees that are already in there? If they plop into a managed account solution, do they understand the fees that are attached to that? Do they understand what a brokerage account gives them access to by popping out to it?
Okay, I get
right?
it. I get it.
Do they understand any of it? And the answer is probably not. And so the fact that participants don't understand it should not limit us in our offering of solutions that help to solve a need. We just need to be better at educating. And so does that mean that the financial advisor needs to understand how these work and needs to spend time sitting with participants? Yes. Does it mean maybe some education specialist, whether it's with the advisor or the record keeper or any of the service providers, needs to know what that product is and understand it completely so that they can educate participants on it? Yes. And should they be available to talk those participants through whether or not it's appropriate for them? Yes, absolutely. The education needs to be there. I don't know that that's any different. It's not a different standard for guaranteed income products than it is for any other product that's being offered in a 401k plan.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about
this
flexibility.
Is fun, by the way. You know what?
I'm glad. I'm glad you like
it. Arguing is apparently in my core.
Is it? Okay. I would say, my husband would say it's in mine too. So maybe I'll get it all out today. Okay. So what about, and I will admit I am not an annuity expert, but I know.
I'm qualified to be having this discussion.
But I am a plan fiduciary. And so these are the kinds of questions that I want to ask. So is there any flexibility with these options going into a retirement plan? So are they irrevocable? Is there inflation risk? And then we get back to how are these going to be explained to participants? Mm-hmm. When are they appropriate? And how are we providing that guidance?
These are all really great questions, Marta, that to our earlier discussion, like, as a plan sponsor offering these in the plan, or as a plan fiduciary, or as an investment fiduciary, as a financial advisor, whoever, service provider on a plan, these are all questions you need to ask and you need to have answers to, right? And so I think it's because the 401k space is different than the individual wealth management space, right? So it's not, the solution should not be, and I think, we had a earlier episode, we were talking about PEPs, right? And one of the challenges with PEPs was that a lot of junk was rolled out early on in the process. And so then people got bad taste in their mouth for a junk PEP. And I think we're experiencing a similar similar experience in this guaranteed income space, in that a lot of the early iterations, a lot of the early attempts at getting guaranteed income into 401k plans were just, let's take an annuity, plop it in there, and let's let it ride. And I think that creates challenges because of some lack of transparency, because of the fees and expenses, and because of lack of portability, and lack of flexibility that comes with just that product just being shoved into a 401k plan. But I will say, I believe has been some serious movement in this space from a product provider's perspective of attacking this, saying, hey, how do we appropriately supply guaranteed income inside of a retirement plan? So now, as opposed to just shoving an annuity into a 401k plan, you've got solutions that are looking at, can we have a guaranteed income wrapper that gets added to a target date fund? So we're using solutions that already exist. And so I think there's movement in the space that we got to be careful not to throw out the bathwater and say never again, because there's been some junk that's come out.
I guess that's a little bit fair, but I like about that and these like products being developed and like, okay, we're trying to figure out, and I've seen, I don't know, I had a presentation by somebody recently and they were talking about like, this is, there's lots of different entities involved and they're making these like more portable and they're doing this and they're doing that, which to me is like $, $. Like every entity that you have involved wants to get paid. Every time you make it more appealing, it also gets more expensive, is typically how that works. And so while I agree, like just shoving an annuity in and making it the new, like, oh, look what we did. I realize that, that there are a lot of brains and ideas going into how to make these better, how to make them more portable, how to allow participants to, now they're not stuck at this provider for forever in order to keep this annuity. So I appreciate all of that work and thoughtfulness that is going into it. But to me, that also means a lot more $signs and a lot more complexity and a lot more hands in the pot, and everybody wants to get paid. So a guarantee is an appealing word, but how much is it going to cost? And do the participants even really understand that? Because we've seen them struggle with the concept of expense ratios in investments. So this just seems like
that's an exercise expensive that the fiduciary plan needs to go through, right? We're supposed to do that for every service provider that's added to the plan, because it's actually a prohibited transaction for anybody to get paid from the plan, right? And so you add service providers, you're adding fees, you're adding to that process. I would reframe it a little bit though, in that, it's not just that everyone involved, more hands in the pot, they want to get paid. It's like we tend to, when we don't understand things, be like, oh, they want to get paid. No, they're getting paid for a service that they're provided to the plan, right? And so it's just because we don't understand it doesn't mean that they're wrong for getting paid for their service. And I think so. It's there's more hands in the pocket. There's more service being provided. There's more value being provided to that investment vehicle. And so entities get paid for the services that they provide. Now, do they need to be held in check and made sure that it's reasonable? Yes. But that's where, understanding what it is that's being provided is so important for a fiduciary on a plan to really know, like, hey, maybe that costs 75 basis points. That seems high because I'm thinking of other investments, but look at the value of this word guarantee, that regardless of how that investment performs, the market could tank and there's still a paycheck that's showing up in a participant's mailbox. And yes, it's the same. And so maybe growth in these is that inflationary protection needs to be provided. And those exist inside some of these products. And so but being able to do that costs a little extra because you're taking on more risk as the one providing it. So it's not just that these dirty investment companies out here trying to make extra money on these poor participants' back. They're providing a service that has an expense tied to it. As a fiduciary, it's a real conversation that we need to be having on it. Is it appropriate? Can it be lower? Can we make sure that the value of this investment is appropriate to the expense and the risk? So definitely, absolutely, those conversations should be had, but they need to be understood as well.
So I think that like, I do think about it from a fiduciary perspective, obviously. And so maybe it's not obvious, but that's what we do here. And so I think like the whole, like being able to look under the hood, like I feel like we can do that a lot on other types of things in retirement plans because we've been doing this for a long time. We know where to look. We know where things get hidden. We know how to uncover some things. And in the annuity space, I don't know how to do that yet.
Yep.
So it is a little concerning. And I would hope that even when we look at these options and that we can ask questions and we can get honest information, and hopefully they aren't just, everybody's out for the next dollar. And in the financial industry, that probably does get, they get accused of that a lot, just out to make the next penny.
Listen, and they earn the accusation in places, for sure. I mean, in the individual marketplace, like the sale of annuities is definitely something that can be abused by advisors and how they use it. It's something that has drawn the attention of FINRA and everyone involved in that space as well. So it can be done poorly, and it can be done nefariously. It can be done selfishly, for sure. And from my angle, it's like, does that mean that it can't be valuable to the participant? And if we're really out here trying to find the best value for our participants, what they're telling us is that there's value in the word guarantee. There's value.
There's 2,100 participants said that. I mean, I really would like some more information about what participants really want. I also thought that quote from the article was interesting because it said today's workers see guaranteed retirement income not just as a personal goal, but as a shared mission with their employer. Okay. So now my employer is also responsible for my well-being in retirement.
Well, but that's the way it used to be.
I know, but it's not anymore. And I just feel like sometimes people just don't take accountability for their own stuff. Like, save your own money, make your own plan, and why does your employer have to? Are they making employer contribution? Then it sounds like they're already being helpful. I don't know. I find it interesting, especially with the amount of employees that go from job to job. I mean, there are some people who have been at the same place for a long time, but a lot of American workers have lots shorter stints at their employer now, but they want their employer on the hook for they want to end this together until they're not.
If you're going to provide a solution that provides guaranteed income, you absolutely have to solve for the expenses, making sure that they're as low and as efficient as possible in that space. You definitely have to solve the flexibility, the liquidity of the product, the portability of the product. That a participant can't just be locked into this now forever because they made this decision once. And so there has to be some fluidity there allowed to them. But I think it is a conversation worth having for sure. And I think it's a solution worth fighting for and trying to find to be able to provide for participants, that it's not just accumulating the wealth, but it's then being able to decumulate it and use it and turn it into income. You can't spend anything until it becomes income. You can't spend any retirement savings until it becomes income. So can we help that be as efficient? And what we're hearing from participants, can it be guaranteed in parts? And so are there portions that we can lock in and know for a fact that those are coming every single month or every single quarter, or however you set up that process? It's a paycheck in retirement that you can depend on. And then is there some other buckets of retirement income that you're able to be more speculative with and do some other elements with as well? So it's definitely a piece of the overall plan. I think where we get in trouble is when it becomes the entirety of the plan.
Well, I think that, and you don't get to have the last word. So I'll say it reminds me of Social Security in terms of how people think about it. Like, people thought Social Security was going to be their retirement, whether or not that's how it was ever intended, doesn't matter. People thought they were going to retire fully on Social Security. Obviously, nobody's doing that. And so I think for this, same kind of thing. Like, just because we say guaranteed income or somebody says guaranteed income doesn't mean it's going to be enough income. It's not this magic bullet. And I worry a little bit that is the perception in the marketplace. These participants that get surveyed, you say guarantee, and they're like, yeah, I want some of that.
Yeah. Yep,
and
for sure.
not really realizing that doesn't mean guaranteed $1,000 a month in your mailbox. It just means something,
I'll give you the last
depending
word
on
after
what you
this
put
because I
in
have
and what
another
you
word to
have.
say.
And it's a whole,
But
no.
what we these last couple comments we said, like, there's been a decrease over time. Like, it used to be that a employee could depend on a pension, right? It used to be that Social Security was a larger percentage of an income plan in retirement. That percentage is dwindling as Social Security's resources are dwindling, and so now you don't have a pension. Your Social Security is less of an impact on you. There's now this growing vacuum of being able to lock in guaranteed paychecks, and so I think that's being felt in the marketplace. And so, are we able to go address it? Final word, I'm done.
No, like I said, I already said all my final words. I'm so good at like wrapping it up. But I am curious what our audience thinks about where they land on which side of this, because obviously these products are out in the marketplace and plans are adding them. So do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Do you think some sort of in between of yes, but whatever? So I'd love to hear what everybody thinks.
Let us know in the comments. Send us a note. Regardless of what you think, thanks for tuning in to the Wise Fiduciary podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts and answer your questions. So drop us a comment, send us a message, or you can schedule a meeting with us at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling. Don't forget to join us next time for more insights and discussions and debates. We'll see you in the next episode.